Come with me and you'll see how to draw from your imagination. I will teach everyone in all nations. Hello everybody, my name is RODGON. I'm an artist, I'm a designer, I'm an illustrator, I'm a cartoonist. I like to draw all sorts of things, including animals, people, and more than anything, I like to teach people how to do it. So, how about we take a little journey today and we go into the world of drawing faces, but not just regular old faces. No. How about we learn how to draw really cool pinup-y faces? We can learn to draw really cool girl faces and like stylized little faces that will help us draw Disney characters and pinups for tattoos and everything of that sort. Let's focus today on the art of simplifying pinup styles and work on that for today. How's that sound? Does that sound like a plan? Sounds like a plan to me. But in order to make this a plan, in order to teach you guys this, I need you guys to get me to 5,000 likes. Oh yeah, there's an ego cost here. But once that ego cost is met, you guys know I'll just give you guys everything. And normally in ways that you guys can actually understand. But that's up to you guys. How are y'all doing though? Having a good Thursday so far? There's a certain science to it. There's a certain science to drawing heads in general, but drawing like stylized heads in the form of like girls, it's always gonna be a preference thing. And you need to learn what those preferences are for yourself in the way of like shape, sizes. You're gonna sometimes want to draw people with really small like eyes for like, I don't know, more serious stuff, and you still need to be able to get that pinup-y look. You know, you don't want to lose the whole concept of a female face just because you're not drawing little anime characters. Okay? The concept of femininity in designs, it's just going to be up to whatever your definition of it is, right? Like, it's subjective to everybody, supposedly. So it's going to be visualized by you. But there are iconized things that you can keep in mind, okay? Big eyelashes, even though there's guys that can have big eyelashes, it's normally considered a feminine trait. If you give dark, contrasty lips, it's gonna be associated with makeup, which is iconized and recognized. How do you pronounce this shit? Your brain sees icons, okay? I don't see an eye. I don't see a girl eye. I don't see a guy eye. I see an eye. And then I see shapes that give it eyelashes and stuff like that. So it's up to you to how to stylize it, right? And the more knowledge you have about anatomy and stuff like that, you're going to be able to draw more things, okay? But there are things that are normally considered female traits, and if you add them to drawings that are supposed to be very manly, you end up losing a little bit of that, okay? because drawings aren't mental constructs that you can explain to people. Drawings are icons. You need to tell a story with an icon. You can't give a subjective feeling to it. Okay? So a drawing needs to be iconized. A drawing needs to know, like, you know, it's just how it works. So when it comes down to drawing pin-up-y girls or girls that have a lot of makeup and stuff like that, you want to darken the upper eyelid a lot more than you don't, so that you can represent an eyelash line. A thin line underneath gives you access to contrast, and that contrast gives you access to the illusion of an eye. The overlapping lines can be your tear duct and your eyelashes. Draw 2 circles inside, and you have yourself an eye. Draw 2 circles of any width, and you have yourself an eye. There's no wrong. It just means that one of them is going to have more white part. The other one, you make it bigger, it's going to have less white part. That's it. That's the only thing that changes. There's no wrong. Just draw 2 circles inside of 2 overlappy lines. One thick, one thin, and then you have yourself eyes. Do those in different curves, and you have yourself eyes in different angles. And yes, it works for even more detailed things. It's not supposed to be a simple thing. It's not just a simple technique. It's how your eyes work. So, ta-da! Now, your eyebrows. Your eyebrows are going to have 2 mapping points that you need to keep in mind. Okay? 1. Simple representation right here. The middle of your nose, aka the flat part of your nose. Okay? Your nose bridge, or whatever you want to call the mid part of your nose. This always goes to your eyebrow. So your eyebrow has a direct line to the middle of your nose. Every time. Whee! Okay? Whenever you draw an eyebrow, you already have an indicating line to the middle of your nose. You just need the size of your nostril, and then the size of your nostril tells you where your eye gonna go. Why? Because this just becomes the side of your nose. So there are guidelines that tell you where everything is supposed to go. Thicker line gives you a nice, cute little eyelash line. In this case, right, if I'm looking at it 3/4, I'm not going to see the same amount of the side of the nose. I am probably not going to see it at all. It would go down. So the initial part of my eye starts right here. And that tells me how much of my eye is going to get covered by this nose. Just by seeing through your shape, just by doing this, you can know exactly where your eye is going to go. Exactly. And the nostril matches with the outside of your eye. Now, you can curve that, you can do anything you want to that stuff, but it's still going to give you the same guideline. Every time. Why? Because our bodies work in a very specific flow system. There's very specific ways to draw the face, right? And there's certain lines that just appear natural. And there's, you know what doesn't appear natural? A big fucking jaw like this. That's not natural. That's not natural. That's not how humans work. So whenever you start your drawings like this, yeah, you're gonna end up in a place with a big jaw. Regardless of what you end up drawing, it's gonna be a gigantic jaw because you're drawing huge mandibles, right? So you're gonna end up with, if anything, you're gonna end up with a situation like this. It works a little bit, but it doesn't. Nothing really gives me a guide to anything, right? Start like this. Start with a circle, split it in half, but don't go all the way down. Stop halfway. From there, draw a teardrop. Draw a little teardrop. The little teardrop, if you split it in 3, you get your nose, really easy. You already have your mouth, says, yay. You already have your chin. Then, instead of just drawing a straight line for your eye line, just draw 2 circles. That's gonna be your eye sockets. Not your eyes. Your eyes would be like having this be like the eyelash, right? No, this is your eyebrow. That's your eyebrow. Your eyebrow connects to your temple. So the rest of the space becomes a little circle. Wherever this intersection happens, that's where your eyes go. And then don't worry about the neck and the jaw until after you draw your ears. Once you draw your ears, you can choose any direction for your neck. You can make super big hulky necks by just drawing it out that way. If you draw it down straight, you get more natural necks. You can taper it inside to create really skinny necks. And then after you draw your neck, you connect your ear to your chin. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, okay? No complications, no guessing where anything goes. You can change the size of any of these things to make it fit into any shape you want. Let's just draw a random shape. We'll fit these shapes: a teardrop, 2 circles, and 2 side circles. Teardrop, 2 circles, and 2 side circles. You can even add a little circle for the top for the forehead, just so you have a measurement system so you know how big each part is. And you have yourself access to drawing faces of all kinds. Really, really easy. Your ear is what connects to your neck. So being able to draw things like superheroes and stuff like that doesn't have to be incredibly difficult. You can draw Spider-Man easier than most people, like most faces. Right? And with using techniques like this, it's stupidly easy. So you guys could go be superhero drawers. Just like me. I work for Marvel, so. Oh, Marvel Snap, which is technically Second Dinner, which is the company. But I work for things with Marvel. I've drawn, last little batch I did for them, I got to do Wade Wilson, Weapon X, a bunch of like the weapons projects. I didn't even know there was a Weapon H. I didn't know that was a thing. Apparently it's like the Hulk. Anyways, let's go back to doing these. We already broke that. I totally forgot about like checking the counter. So let's go back to girl faces. Okay, so the easiest way to be able to draw little pinup faces is honestly going to be starting with a circle and not adding a shit ton of things to it. Just the shape of a circle gives you a really nice proportions. If you do that and then you split it in 4 for a profile, we're going to focus heavily on this section right here. Okay? This is going to be where our nose comes out and our jaw comes down parallel to that circle. When it reaches the top or the bottom of this, that's when you bring it in. And then you go back up at a slight like 15-degree angle so that you can get the angle of your ear nice. Okay, so you want to leave a little space, a tiny bit of space underneath the middle. That way you make the forehead a little bit bigger. That's the only reason why. We can make this taller or smaller. Here, I'll show you guys what happens if we move it up. It just makes the jawline a lot longer. So it gives you the appearance of somebody older. Okay, because it's gonna give you bigger features compared to the forehead. So somebody that's old, somebody that doesn't really have to have much detail when it comes down to charismatic traits of a young person, you would do something like that. But if you want somebody that looks a lot more young, you want to keep the eyes and everything underneath the midline. So that's why I shift this down so that you can match your eyes. And I don't mean match them like a draw circle. I want you to draw a little arrow matching that midline. That midline is going to be used. Okay? That midline is not going to be this and then you draw a ball and then you try to figure out shit. No. That is going to essentially be where you place the 2 points at the end of your eyes. You get to choose how much of a curve those parts are going to have, but you already have that because of your midline. This little triangle is this little triangle. As a profile, you only see half of it. Okay? So as long as you understand how to use that midline, that's the easiest thing you can possibly do. Okay? Now you have your eyebrow, and your eyebrow is going to be, if you have your eyebrow is going to be a little bit wider, like a little fan. And pay into consideration the outside edge of your eye, because this will always curve back into where your eyebrow goes. Okay? That's just how naturally our bodies work. So if we have our eye sockets, right, and we draw our eye, our eyebrow, our brow muscle, it tends to curve around to the outside edge of our eye. So that's another connecting point that we can use. Eyebrow goes around and it curves in to the outside of my eye. This splits this little shape, like whatever eye socket you chose, it's gonna split it in two. Okay? The bottom part is the bottom part of your eye socket, and if you build out from there, you get your cheekbone. So you have your eye socket, I want cheekbones. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. Your cheekbone leads to your temples, which is the side of your head. There's always something that guides to the next area. There's always something, okay? There's always a line that guides you to the next area that you're supposed to go in. And just learning a couple of them will help you understand how things work. Middle of the nose goes to your eyebrow. Eyebrow goes to the outside of the eye. Outside of the eye gives me the eye socket. The eye socket gives me the cheekbone. And this gives me the curvature that I need for my faces. Little tiny things like that. I need to come up with a song. Eve, thank you. How do you draw natural looking dynamic poses? So natural looking poses aren't dynamic. But we're talking about heads right now. But I'm just telling you that like a natural pose, a very natural pose is not very dynamic. A natural pose is very casual. Right? Natural poses are not dynamic. They're very like, oh, I'm just going to look at my phone type of thing. Right? It's just chilling around, like messing around, not having anything interesting to do. That is what a natural pose is. A dynamic pose is something that would be completely unnatural. Okay? Something that would be dynamic in nature. Right? Overlapping lots of shapes, being able to draw things extremely exaggerated in perspective. Yeah. This guy has like a weird neck going on, but whatever. Being able to push extremities into positions that are super difficult to do, right, is not necessarily difficult. It's much more about understanding how to overlap shapes and being confident with overlapping shapes. Everything that I'm doing right now is just learning how to overlap a little beanbag and being confident where your body parts are going to fall. That's why we learn all the concepts of SAM and concepts of just basic overlaps and basic tiny little, like, for example, these circles, right? They can create a ton of different depths by choosing how much of that overlap gets thrown. And I know it seems very insignificant to maybe somebody that doesn't pay attention to minuscule details, but even doing a tiny, tiny bit is very different in each one of these, right? But that same shape can do it the opposite way. So everything is ambiguous. So being able to draw things like legs and arms is all about understanding how much of those overlaps to be used and in what direction to use them. That's it. That's what human bodies are. Just learning how to overlap circles all over. You could draw human bodies so much better in like a week if you just spent yourself, I don't know, 30 minutes a day drawing circles and overlapping them and seeing how to draw through them. Like, you would insanely improve. Okay, so there's no casual dynamic poses. That's two completely extremes. Okay? Overpriced class in just scribbly cartoon anatomy. What? Overpriced class? It's free. Like, so you come onto people's streams just to hate on people for no reason, because I can probably draw better than you. No, leave him here. I want people to acknowledge him. That's what he wants. He wants attention. So, everybody, go check out his work. Yeah, we'll go do the cute faces in a second. Let's go check out his work and see what they think about your stuff. How about that? No, let's go critique the critic. Dude, you have no idea how petty I can be. I'm a public figure, but you have no idea how much enjoyment I get out of making people's lives miserable because they're annoying. I laugh and I revere enjoy every single time some troll comes on here and I'm like, ooh, my 90s internet kid just comes out and he's like, it's hilarious to me. Not just followed because the anatomy lesson was very helpful. Oh, thank you. No, I know what I'm doing is great. It's good. It's just really funny when people just come on here to hate. Like, they have absolutely no other thing to do. That's what they get enjoyment from. So I make sure that they get the attention they deserve, they want. Sometimes having like 300,000 people that like follow you, 400,000. Normally they do this on Instagram. I've never had that happen on Instagram, on TikTok. Yeah, people do it on Instagram all the time. So I like hunt trolls over there all the time. It's hilarious. Should call me RODGON, the troll hunter. I remember one time, like, some idiot sent me like some really random like hate messages, right? And I sent them to his mom. I found his mom and I sent it to them. She was not very happy. See, when you mess with somebody that has resources and absolutely all the time in the world, you have no idea how petty someone can get. All right, so going back to girl faces, okay? So what you want to do is you want to use that midline for the mid of your eye line, okay? So if you do this and you draw an eye going in this direction, that is where the little triangle for your eye is going to be. Now that eye can be in any direction, shape, and form. That's going to be where that little triangle goes. Okay? What happens underneath the triangle? A little bit of a nose, parallel to the shape. We're going to bring it back in wherever we want the jaw, or if it matches the bottom of the circle. When you draw something slightly 3/4, you need to draw the other eye. So take the curvature that you drew here. You're just going to draw it here. You don't have to think of the whole entire eye, but just match the curvature for your eye, because that's going to be roughly the same curvature for that eye. The nose bridge, okay, the width of the nose bridge, here, let me draw a little bit wider. The actual width of your nose bridge, because it's going to have width, okay? It's not just a flat line. The inside is what goes to your eyebrow. As if you were seeing it from the front, the width of your nose goes to your eyebrow. Okay? Guidelines. This goes to my eyebrow. This needs width. The width is literally just the in between wherever your eyebrow comes down. Whee! I normally just draw a little mouth coming in a little bit, no bigger than the middle of my actual eyes. So if I draw my eyes down, that's going to be roughly the width of my mouth. My chin just has to be pointy, so I just have to make sure I align that. And my ear always comes at the end of my jaw, but I don't close it. I don't close the line completely. If you close it, it looks like a robot. If you don't close it, it looks like one complex shape. Okay? If you don't close it, it looks good. If you close it, it looks like poopy. Wherever you draw your midline, again, that's the little triangle at the back of your eye. And your eyebrows are a little bit wider than your eyes. Could we see how to make a mischievous expression? Absolutely. So if you had your character, and we're drawing pinups right now. So we're gonna draw a little nose. Simple trick. Whatever profile you would draw here, just draw it here. Exactly the same. Don't do anything to it. Just draw the same thing. Exactly the same spacing, the same eye. Just draw it a little bit wider. Done. You have it, and then you just add the other one. Super simple. Okay? Like, people overcomplicate the whole rotation of the head. Oh my God, it's so overly simple. Most of the time, it's just that. Mischievous look. Mischievous is like playful, but kind of like, hey, I'm gonna do something. Most of the time, kids give you that look like, Oh yeah? You told me not to bring a frog in? Alright. I brought 3. Alright, so wait, what were we talking about after that? Oh, profiles. Profiles are easy. Profiles are the easiest thing in the world. Easiest thing in the world. Honestly, like, you cannot get any easier when it comes down to drawing heads. You want to know why? Because you already know how to draw them. I promise you already know how to draw them. You just don't know where to place the items. So let me show you the easiest way you can learn to draw profiles. Easiest. Draw a box. Draw a happy face on that box. Build back from that. Draw a nose from the middle of your eyes to a little bit above your mouth. Draw a chin if you want a chin. Wherever the eyebrow hits, draw a circle that matches the side of your head. Your ear goes on the middle half of that, boop, and your neck goes down. So drawing an actual face is not difficult. You've just been told that it's hard your whole life. Most of the time, it's just an overlapping line and a happy face. And you can have really cool ones the more anatomy you learn. The more anatomy you learn, the more you can play with your characters. And you can do this from any shape. Any shape. Any sort of profile. You want angry faces, just draw angry faces. Okay? A lot of the times, we overcomplicate things. Do you have a YouTube channel? I sure do. And we're really close to 100,000 followers, so you guys should go follow me there too. So that I can get my plaque. I want my plaque, damn it. I've been working on it for like 10 years almost. So I can get my little YouTube plaque. So I'm at 98,000. I need 100,000 to get my plaque. How do you know what spots to properly shade? Don't go into shading if you can't get enough depth with your line work. Whenever you're drawing, if you're relying on shading for depth, stop it, because you're just gonna confuse yourself. You're gonna make yourself very confused. Learn how to create depth through overlapping shapes first. Okay? I just buy your course on 21 Draw. I'm on 60%. I just improve a lot. Yeah. Oh my God. You should just, yeah, my same YouTube channel is TikTok channel. You should check out my academy. You would probably be like, the 21 Draw ones are really, really good, but I'm limited to how much time I can spend on my classes, right? Those have a limitation because they have to edit them, they have to match them to other things. In my academy, I have like 50-something classes just for like character design. And I'm adding more every week because I learn more things every week. So it's yeah. That's the next, once you master the stuff from 21 Draw, that's the next step. That's your master's degree. 21 Draw is your bachelor's. The academy is your master's. I love your art. Aw, you're sweet. So to draw really cute pinup faces or K-pop star faces, we're gonna do that. Okay, and we're gonna do in between here to draw the mouth. I'm gonna go half of it and I'm gonna draw a line. That's it. A line. A line. Nothing special. Just a line. If I want to draw anything with the mouth open, this is what happens. That line, you draw the mouth. You very rarely move the jaw very much. You don't really do much with the jaw. Okay? But if you had to overlap these two shapes, if you had your jaw and you had to do something here, you put your upper lip and then your bottom lip intersecting like that. So that's what you do to simplify it. You overlap the top lip over the bottom lip. And this is what happens naturally when you're drawing. But we don't really acknowledge it very much. Okay? A lot of the times, the simplification of that body part is as simple as drawing the nose, drawing the upper lip, and then drawing your bottom jaw. You don't have to draw the bottom lip unless you really want to add it. Okay? Now there's going to be different types of noses. Of course, there's going to be different ways to draw. Like there's going to be people that have overbites and stuff like that. You know? There's going to be all sorts of people. But if you're going for like a little pin-up-y look that you just want a simple, just quick, sketchy form, you're going to go outside nose, into the upper lip, into your chin. And then that's it. That's all you do. The chin doesn't have to point out as much. It can point back down. It can point sideways. You can make really manly Thanos-looking guys by just going, rah. It's kind of androgynous Thanos, but like, hey guys, came to destroy half your people. You okay with that? Yeah, thanks. You guys want to get some boba? But you could do that like as well with different characters. If you just focus on the front fourth of a character and then do a little pin-up-y face, you have yourself a pin-up-y face. You can do this little section the same, and then do this in any direction you want, and you can create any sort of character you want. Because once you understand the concept of how the face works, you can change that to anything you want. Hey, see you later, Sarah. Hopefully this worked for you. Hopefully this helped. Yeah. Sorry I jumped around so much, but yeah, hopefully it helped a little. Talk to you later. Bye. All right, so she's gone now. I can say nice things about her. Nah, she's an absolute delight of a person, by the way. Sarah is an absolute delight. She is an amazing tattoo artist, too, by the way. I'll show you guys this when it heals, because it's still healing. But she did munchies. Hey, I thought you were gone. Oh, Jesus Christ, you can't be doing that to me. I was talking good stuff about you. Yes, I'll be saving this stream for you. See, that's what happens when you try to be sneaky and say nice things behind people's backs. Can you do that in front of a figure 9? Yeah, you can do that with a figure 9. So if you do a circle and a figure 9, you get yourself your neck. Oh, let's move that up a little because that left a little too little space. Every time I draw the head good, the body turns out horrible. You might just not know how to connect your body parts. Like your body parts all connect with the single concept of your spine. Your spine connects everything. So you need to know how everything connects to that. Okay? You need to know how your arms interact with your spine, so that you know where your arms actually come from, right? If you don't know where your arms come from, they come from the back of your body. And your shoulders and stuff like that make it look like the front, but no, it's mostly controlled by the back. Your scapula and stuff like that are in the back. That's what controls the arm. It's the stuff in the back. So if you know that your arm originates in the back, well, whenever you're drawing your characters, you're going to originate your arms from the back, and it's going to be easy. Right? You're going to know, hey, the arm comes from the back. So whenever I'm drawing a character and I'm like trying to figure out a pose, right? I need to figure out the middle, and then I need to figure out what's closer to the back. And that's how you learn this stuff, right? That's why anatomy is important. So that you can learn the meaty parts and the squishy parts of your body. The meaty and the squishy. I should make a book called that. Okay, your spine is in the back. Your rib cage goes around. Once you have this little pocket that happens in your rib cage, and you have your hip bones, which is kind of like a little fly or like a little butterfly at the bottom of your spine. The middle of this and the middle of this give you your stomach. Your legs come down from your hip bones. And since I'm running out of space, I'm going to have to bend them. But your hip bones are roughly the width of your body. So they don't go necessarily in that direction. Your hip bones give you the ability to draw your leg in any direction you want. It's like a central hub for your leg. As long as it comes out of here, it will look like a leg. Okay? Cool. Learning how to draw through your shapes will teach you that if my arm originates here, if this is a complete profile, the other arm is exactly in the same spot. It doesn't move because it's in profile. If it wasn't, if it's a 3/4 face, right, then you have your arms on opposite sides. And they go independently from each other. But when it's a complete profile, your body parts are on the back of your body. So they both originate from the exact same spot. Ta-da! Like, it's not any different. It doesn't get smaller either. Unless you're forcing perspective, unless you're doing like super forced perspective, the arms aren't necessarily different in size. They're about the same. How do you position the faces better? Okay, so the eyes go very specifically in a very simple place in the face. If you learn to draw faces like this, you'll never have issues knowing the placement of things. Okay, so pay attention. Pay attention. Okay, you're gonna draw a circle. Then you're gonna draw a little teardrop right in the middle of it. Okay, this, if you split this into 3, you have your nose. If you split this and you do 2 dots and you just connect them with a line, you have your mouth. You already have your chin and you already have your jaw. You already have the top of your head. Just follow that curve around and you have yourself the top of your head. Okay? You need to just come up with what type of eyes you want to draw. At this intersection, you're going to draw a little infinity sign, and that infinity sign is going to be the size of your eyebrows, your cheekbones, and the spacing for your eyes. If you change that to different things, different sizes, you get access to different styles without changing anything. Okay? The next thing is, wherever the edge of this is, you need cheekbones. They go around that circle. And then you draw your ear right behind that. This goes up, it catches this one, goes up, catches that one. If you go down, gives you your neck. And I told you, don't connect this line completely so that it retains the concept of a complex shape. From there, you go on to your collarbone, and that's how you start attaching it to the rest of your body. But your eyes fall right there. Another way of seeing it is like a little flower. Petal, petal, little petal, little petal. Same concept. Okay? Follow this around, follow this around. Cheekbone, cheekbone, ear, ear. Close off my shape, close off my shapes. Wherever you draw that, oh, you want to draw this inside, you draw this, but you may just make one bigger and one smaller. Thinner, not smaller, thinner. Because some of it is going to be covered by your eye. So that is very simple to do, even in a profile. Half a circle, half a teardrop, eye socket. Yeah, to make features for feminine characters, you just make them a little bit softer. So for something like this, I would go circle, teardrop. Remember what we just talked about? The nose coming out, back in. So if I wanted to draw characters that had more feminine traits, that's how I would do it. And then you can make that in any variation you want. But again, just focus on this part of your faces. Draw your jaw structure in any way you want. And then focus on drawing your anatomy based on that anatomy. So you have the ability to change a gigantic amount of variation as long as you maintain the same structures. You're gonna end up in a very similar anatomical way of being able to draw. It gives you a very big range that you can play with. But no, it's a little too big for me. There you go. Can you draw animals? Yeah. We can draw animals of all kinds. All kinds. Is there an animal you want to see? Is there a specific animal you want to know? If there is, let me know. I'll show you. Ponies. Let's see. Ponies are just horses with big heads. So let's see. Pony, they normally have like really big mohawks. They really have a very big front of their face compared to their And then they have their big necks, and I forget how big their necks are, but then they have their collarbone up here again at the back of their body, right? Their shoulder, forearm, palm, toes. But it's normally fuzzy for ponies. Then the back part, hip bone, hip bone. Then again, we're gonna make it a little fuzzy. Let's give him a little harness. He's a good little pony. He's a Mohawk pony. He's a punk rock pony. Yeah, he's a punk rock pony. Who wants big, badass pony rides? Ride the emo pony. Let's see, what type of stripes should we give him? Gotta make the other leg a little dark, just push it in the background. Let's say he's a badass, so he needs tattoos. What type of tattoos did we give him? Oh, he would be like a branded pony, so there you go. He gets like a little heart, but a little bleeding heart because he's emo. And he's gonna have to have black hair, obviously. Well, but we need some of the hair to cover his face too, because it's not a proper emo character if their faces isn't covered. So he's punk rock and emo. God damn, he's a good combination. Let's cover his face completely. My little emo, my little emo. Tell me what's wrong with the world today. My little emo pony, my emo pony. Come and scream in my ear again. He's gonna have to be eating something. So there you go. Did you get Mr. Emo Pony? Can you do a snake? Yeah. You can do snakes. Probably a smaller forehead, actually. What if they look at the front? What if the emo looks at the front? Like emo pony? Let's draw emo pony looking forwards. Emo pony looking forwards. Emo Mohawk pony. He's eating something too, so I have to try his. There you go. That's what Mr. Emo Pony would look like from the side if he was, or from the front. No, I'm not allowed to draw sad things. That's not in the guidebook. I'm not allowed to anymore. I have self-prescribed myself the inability to draw sad things. Because when I draw sad things, they manifest into real things, and I don't like it. I have a stupid superpower, and anything that I really, really, really focus on, it happens. It's weird. I'm like that weird like weather lady from Men in Black. You know, the one that like gets sad and then like the weather changes and shit. Well, maybe not to that extent, but it actually is kind of freaky sometimes. So I keep myself from thinking things that I don't want to happen because I happen to have a little weird coincidence that happens to just happen all the fucking time. All hail RODGON. How do you draw teeth when the mouth is open? When the mouth is open, your teeth are going to follow the jaw structure. So let's say that your mouth is open, right? And you draw a really mouth open. You're like, yeah, I want a mouth that's open. Yeah. Your teeth are going to follow roughly your lips. Very close to your lips most of the time. Like wherever your lips go, that's going to be roughly where your mouth goes. Because your lips and your mouth are very similar to each other. If you have your teeth, your lips literally go parallel to it. Every time. There's no differentiation. Right? Wherever your mouth goes, your lips go. So, if you draw your lips, your teeth go alongside your mouth. Now, most of the time, your upper lip doesn't really move much when you're drawing, by the way. When you're drawing things, your upper lip very rarely moves. It's most of the time your bottom lip that's moving. So keep that in mind, unless you're snarling. And if you snarl, you're moving your lip up, but then it's not moving your teeth up. You're just moving your gums up. So if you're trying to sneer, like give a character like a really menacing look, like rawr, your lip goes up. The middle of your lip never really moves. But this really stays static. It doesn't really move. I'm trying to. Does it move? I guess you can pull it up whenever you sneer. It moves up a little bit. But other than that, not really. So when you're drawing, right? Draw your nose, then you draw a little circle underneath so that you know that that doesn't move, and then you can draw your mouth and then your teeth. And then you have access to drawing. Do you know how to draw Scarlet Witch's crown? No. No, I don't know how to draw the specific item in a comic book. No. That's kind of weird. Like, do you know Knight Rider's car logo when it happened in the show in 1984? Do you know Green Lantern's ring from pre-era golden age of comics, 97 comics in issue 97? No, I don't know what your comic book character or your anime character looks like. I know some of them. I don't know every single one of them, and I definitely don't know their items, like their crowns and stuff. That's really silly. Conversely, you can just reverse engineer that. If you ever wanted to learn how to draw a little bit more exaggerated, you just need to learn those little guidelines. Tiny guidelines. Right? Wherever you draw a nose, if you draw a little circle, you have access to drawing a mouth. Wherever you draw a nose, draw a little circle, and you have access to knowing the spacing for your mouth. Any direction works. Another way to think about it is your mustache line. If you have enough space for a mustache, you have enough space for a mouth. So even if it's not a guy, just think of itself like a mustache line, and you'll have yourself spacing that you need. Do you do anime style? Okay, so what is anime style in your opinion? Is anime style like the whole big drawing, big eyes, and little tiny features, and big, cool eyelashes? Is that what anime style is to you? Or is it the whole concept of simplifying the face to a single little teardrop, or the big foreheads, or the little chibi bodies? Like, what is it about? What aspect of anime do you want to know? In between semi-realism and non-real. What the fuck does that mean? Non-realism. That's everything. That's not physically real. So you want to know everything. No, you can't make up weird terms and think that you're being deep. No. No. That's not how it works. Learn how to actually categorize what you're trying to learn and then ask it properly. I want to know the meaningful solutions between realism and non-realism, and can you teach me every intricacy in between? Come on, man. Ask questions that can be actually answered in the stream and not take a lifetime of philosophical talking to be able to explain it to you. Stop asking for money. You're gonna get blocked. Somebody block this person if they beg. If they ask one more time, block them. I mean, anime, in my own understanding, is both exaggerating features while simplifying it. No, there's a very specific look for anime. There's like a very... depends on the type of anime look you're trying, like shonen or whatever, right? But there's a very specific thing that you have to do. And it's just going to be like maintaining a certain line quality. Well, most of the time, it's a lot of line quality issues. It's just learning how to draw the structures with very, very specific looks, right? Because it can be anything from like Pokemon to Yu-Gi-Oh to anything like that. But a lot of the times it's how they design the line work. The paneling, all that stuff plays a huge role. Can you explain a frog? Yeah. You can do frogs. And Snorlax in the back. Let's go, munchies. How do I draw my style of anime? Because how I do my style, I do kind of realistic guys. I would heavily focus on just learning the actual structure of the head. Instead of thinking about its styles, think about anatomy in the sense of understanding how the concept of the human structure works, right? Because the style is just the end rendering aspect of things. You can change that to anything you want. But if you understand the structure, then you can draw any style you want. Okay, so frogs. Let's do a frog or two. Now let's do a frog, but let's do a frog on a post-it. Let's start filling in the post-its. Okay, there you go. Let's do a frog right here. So when you're drawing froggies have a very interesting skull. they have two big eyes, they have an opening on the side, and they tend to have very wide structures. Okay, so their skulls kind of look something like that. Their eyes fill within those spaces. They tend to have little eyebrow ridges. And their bodies, depending on the type of frog, I like, for example, Pac-Man frogs. Those are my favorite type of toads. So I draw them all the time. And they're big and fat and chubby. And they hide underneath them. So being able to draw different animals in general is a lot about understanding how their structures work. If you understand how the anatomy of it works, it tends to be a little easier to be able to draw the rest of them. No, not music on... In the mornings, we don't do music. In the mornings, we focus heavily on drawing. I don't know exactly how their legs work, but I know that they have long feetsies. So understanding how the anatomy works behind them makes it sometimes a lot easier to be able to understand how to draw them later. Okay? I'm trying to figure out the best shape to use for the head. So it depends on what type of... It depends on what type of frog you're trying to do. But a lot of the times it's going to be a lot bigger at the front because they have really big eye sockets. Okay? They have really big eye sockets, and the eye socket is split. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like a crab claw. Okay? And then they have their mouth. But then their bottom mouth is segmented because they need to be able to open it to be able to do things like eat things. All right, block this guy too, please. Danny Bank, please get the fuck out of my stream. So even if you're drawing things like cartoony stuff, right, like more humanistic ones. This is the concept of the skull that you want to keep. That way you can draw your characters being anything you want, and you can add cool elements like anatomy and stuff like that to it later. In my days, I used to have to swim against 20,000 tadpoles. In my day. Right, so when you're simplifying your shapes, just think about like that. And you think of a shape kind of like this with a big eye. That's going to be more akin of the shape of your froggies that you need to get. Again, I don't really know exactly how their anatomy works. I'm just guessing based on things that I know. But if you think of your eye sockets like this, you will have a much higher likelihood of understanding anatomy. Same thing happens with a bunch of different animals, okay? This whole same concept, it happens with dragons, happens with birds, happens with a lot of different things. So if you think about your skulls like that, it's going to be much easier for you to draw things that have skulls. Because that's how a skull works 90% of the time. Okay, so that is something to keep in mind because that is very important. Did we finish the page? We almost finished the page. Is there any space in the other pages that we need to fill? No. We have a little space here. So different animals are going to have that in different ways. Okay? Different animals are going to require you to learn to do that in different methods. But they all have that. Every single animal is going to have that sort of concept. Okay? Every single one of them. That's how our skulls work. Okay? Our skulls are very similar in nature to everything else in nature, except for jellyfish and octopuses. Jellyfish and octopuses are their own thing. And worms, I guess. Yeah, those things, apparently jellyfish are immortal. Some jellyfish just don't die. Anyways, see you later, Sano. All hail the order of the Daigon. So, being able to, again, I think today we established drawing girl faces is not as hard as we thought. Learning how to draw them from a very basic, simple circle is something very effective. And being able to do it with very simple mapping points, right? Parallel lines, and knowing what this little line does. That line gives us our little triangle, which is the endpoint of our eye, and allows us to draw the eye in any position we want. Again, if we want to move the midline just changes the little triangles at the end of your eye. That's what your midline gives you. It's very powerful. Okay, so you all take care. You guys have a fantastic Thursday. And I will see you guys probably later tonight for another little stream and karaoke night. Maybe after I finish with my... I have a class, a Q&A for my school that I normally do on Thursdays. But after that, I might jump onto the stream and just put some music on, do some studying. Because every time that I sit down to study something new, you guys get awesome new things. Like every time that I sit here and I just focus on like myself for a little bit. For example, I learned how to draw eyes really, really easy by the side. You guys want to know how to do that? It goes, you draw an oval and then you go inside, whee, and you have yourself the perfect placement for your eye. It's a very cool little little flowy thing. I love flow. To me, understanding how something flows inside of a shape is so incredibly important. Right? And knowing exactly where I can put things to make it look cool is such an interesting thing nowadays. Please show the horse again. No, we are done with our stream today. We're done. Otherwise, I'm never going to leave here. And I need to go do things today. So, love y'all. Take care. This one was for Sarah because she wanted to learn how to draw cute girl faces a little bit more. So, Sarah, hope you enjoyed. This will be on YouTube for everybody else. If you don't know how to YouTube, I have a YouTube with like over 1,000 videos. You guys should go check it out. There's a lot of knowledge there for you. And I did not mean to click that button. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.